John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised. And alert the media. The John Lebang Show is broadcasting loud and clear. Well, it's nice to see some people are finally coming around. It's a good thing to see. I mean, it's finally out in the open, isn't it? That this new $1.3 trillion spending bill that the president was going to sign, then he didn't want to sign, but signed anyways. Which he claims no one had time to read. And he says what's in it and what's not in it. Yet, nobody had time to read it, Mr. President, according to you. We've got some audio coming up later to demonstrate what the president said. But apparently he's unhappy about the bill. I mean, I'm unhappy about the bill, $1.3 trillion. I mean, what difference would this bill be like if Hillary Clinton was the president?
What difference at this point does it make?
Do you actually think this bill would have been any different? And for $1.3 trillion, this only funds the government until September.
What difference at this point does it make?
Can you imagine? That's how expensive it is to run the government now. Or they claim that's how expensive it is. You think we could cut a little fat on that? Is it possible that we could cut some of the fat off of that just a little bit? We get a $80 billion increase in defense spending. We get $1.6 billion to build a border security fund.
I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee.
And the border security is going to go into, surveillance and technology to structures that already exist.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so no new wall or very little new wall is going to be built with this massive $1.3 trillion spending budget that only funds the government until September. So what's that, 6 months? Woo! 6 months. What most of us could do with $1.3 trillion. What most of us could do with $1.3 million or $1.3 thousand, to be honest. We'd like that. Yeah, we're not going to see that. I mean, we just had the recent tax bill there in December. I can continue to bring that one up because that's when I really went south on the Trumpster. I mean, I'd been on the fence for a while about him. But when we get a supposed tax cut that benefits rich corporations, wealthy corporations, yet the individual gets diddly squat. We don't get rid of Obamacare. I mean, who is this guy? Who is this guy that's the president? Because he is doing a complete 180 on what he promised during the election, during the campaign.
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat.
I mean, he even went out to his little Twitter there and said this, just before signing the bill, not long before it. I'm considering a veto of the omnibus spending bill based on the fact that 800,000 plus DACA recipients have been totally abandoned by the Democrats. DACA and Democrats, that was a thing. They were on the same side of things. And I thought Donald Trump opposed legalizing illegal immigrants in any shape or form. Now it's like he's the Democrat. And all the agendas so far that have gotten any traction or passed have had, well, a Democrat flavor to them. Some might say that the tax plan wasn't Democrat orientated. It sure wasn't Republicanism. It sure wasn't to help the individual out. I've talked to a bunch of people. Their paychecks haven't changed one bit. We were supposed to see something in February. You know, it's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. When I told everybody, when I began the campaign of none of the above back in 2016, remember Banger 2016? Nobody got the joke. Nobody got the idea behind it.
The following advertisement is paid for Banger for President 2016.
Donald Trump. He wants single-payer health care.
Everybody's got to be covered. This is an un-Republican thing for me to say, because a lot of times they say, no, the lower 25%, they can't afford private. But everybody's going to be taken care of much better than they're taken care of now.
He's even said he's a Democrat.
In many cases, I probably identify more as a Democrat.
So why the hell is he running as a Republican?
Makes you scratch your head.
Oh, I'm confused, man. So when both parties are on the left,
Then do the right thing.
vote for none of the above, man. Because what difference does it make anyways? We're all screwed.
Banger 2016.
I'm John Lebang, and I approve this message. They thought I was actually running for president when I wasn't actually running for president.
The following advertisement is paid for Banger for President 2016.
Hillary Clinton, she's ugly. And do you really want to hear this for the next 4 years?
What difference at this point does it make?
Or this? Or even this? I don't think so.
So do the right thing.
Vote for none of the above, man, or else you'll get this.
The world must understand that the United States will act decisively if necessary, including with military action.
Banger 2016.
I'm John Lebang, and I approve this message. You know, I could be angry about this whole thing. I could be sitting here screaming on the radio. I've heard people. Now we got people coming around. Finally, the people who were so far into Trump's corner and wouldn't budge from that. Finally, they're starting to ask questions. Saw some videos yesterday. I'm like, oh, now you're coming around. Now you're getting it. And because I wasn't on the Trump bandwagon last year, pretty much, I was pointing out things. If we go back to when the election happened and he was elected president, someone said, I don't want to say who, you don't want to, I forgot the guy's name, but someone told you, I remember, saw a video or heard his radio show or something. I might even have been present there, I'm not sure, but I heard this one guy, someone, I can't remember his name, saying, now we have to be vigilant. Now that Donald Trump's in office, we've got to stick to our guns and stay on him and make sure what he promised came true. But instead of that, we had the cheerleaders, tons of cheerleaders, because their guy finally won. Tons of cheerleaders ignoring this little fact and that little fact and that. I mean, they jumped on the Q bandwagon. Notice how people are starting to give up on Q now. It was a big thing for a while. Q got good 6-7 months of traction there. But it's not like that anymore. People are starting to question Q. And they're questioning the president. They're like, this is not what you promised. You weren't pro-DACA when you were running for president. You said we got to decrease the spending in the government. Heck, ladies and gentlemen, we just passed $21 trillion in debt. $21 trillion in debt. This funding bill that the president says he'll never sign again, why did you sign it in the first place?
We're stupid. We'll take care of you. We'll pay.
Is it because you're under a tremendous amount of pressure and you want to look like you're doing something positive for everybody? You want to make yourself look good in the polling numbers? Because all the things that have been thrown at you over the past year and a half? Or is it that we've been duped? Were we duped from the beginning? They knew there was an opposition to the establishment, so they sent somebody out there. They being whatever organization you think runs the world, whatever group controls everything, the elite. I don't care what you call them. I've given up calling them anything. They're just them. Those buggers. Did they send a guy out there to give you a choice between scumbag Hillary or a guy that would disgrace the whole country and not hold up to his word? Rock star, movie star, TV star, WrestleMania star.
Just simpering control freak.
And they figured if you went for the reality star there, then they would punish you. And isn't that what has been happening ever since Trump has been elected? The people who were behind him have had to endure some kind of punishment one way or the other, whether it's the highlighting of the wackiest of the conspiracy theorists by the mainstream media to discredit the entire group of people who put their vote behind Donald Trump. So the establishment didn't get their way by getting Hillary in there. Their backup plan might have been Trump. If you don't want the one we want in office, if you don't want her, then you can have Trump, but we're going to just throw everything at you. FBI probes. I mean, it's been a constant barrage on the president, which translates to anybody who voted for him. And if he was put there to do such a thing, he doesn't care if he's put down or disgraced. I mean, the man has been involved with wrestling. So it's okay to be humiliated in the spotlight. He doesn't care as long as he's getting his, whatever his might be. And on the other hand, you could think that this man is being destroyed. Everything that they're throwing at him hasn't stuck yet. But now they're breaking out the hookers. They're breaking out his extramarital affairs, his relationships. There are a few other things that they could attack, but looks like they're now just trying to destroy his marriage, which I don't know if he cares. I don't know what he cares about anymore. I really don't understand where this guy's perspective is if he is trying to do something good for the country. Now, if he's just in there to be the actor of this time period, maybe the more credible people don't want that kind of scrutiny that the president gets. So they throw up these actors now. Here, you take Donald Trump. Once you're sick of Trump, we'll send you somebody else that you can hate on for a little while. And we finally have a group of people who were so embedded in his camp now waking up to the fact that maybe this guy isn't who we thought he was. And that one guy, I just can't remember his name, that was telling everybody, that's how, I mean, even though he was probably right, he's just so small and insignificant, he was a nobody. But I remember him saying something to the fact that, T has admitted to being has admitted to having ideas that are more Democrat-like. He was friends with Hillary. He was friends with a whole bunch of... He's friends with Oprah. We're seeing more Democrat things happening in office. Maybe that nobody... I can't remember him. He's somebody... name escapes me at the moment. Maybe that guy was right. And all the people who stopped listening to him, all the people who turned him off because he was pointing out things about Trump's administration that weren't exactly on the level. Now you can see all those people, they're starting to go, things aren't adding up anymore. I can't remember the guy that they ignored. I just can't. But we got to take a quick break, folks. More on the flip side of this.
Now don't get your panties all worked up.
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
And you'll love it. CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services. Their billers and managers are all dedicated to working for you to increase your profits. For more information, call CRRM at 248-579-3805. CRRM, CarePoint Billing Services.
Check out the new book from Derek Shelmerdine,
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It tells the story of rock and roll from its roots right up until the mid-70s punk.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Not just the music, but also the events that shaped the music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
It includes the backgrounds to recording sessions, singles, album releases, births and deaths, epic concerts, and festivals.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Shelmerdine has made a painstaking effort to document pretty much every event that would prove significant in shaping popular music.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Purchase the book at www.rockandrollunraveled.com. Follow him at Twitter at R&R Unraveled and look him up on Facebook at Rock and Roll Unraveled.
Rock and Roll Unraveled.
By author Derek Shelmerdine.
Available now.
You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Join the radio revolution right here.
It's better than some good tie stick, man.
Yes, I would like some too. And before we get to the sound bites, I want to also add that massive $1.3 trillion omnibus bill. I mean, that just sounds nasty, doesn't it? Omnibus bill. Gave Planned Parenthood $500 million in taxpayer funds so they can continue on their little course of, doing good things for women. All this is happening while the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell more than 1,400 points this week. Another big week in the tank for the Dow Jones. We've had a couple this year. And if that takes a hit, there goes your 401k, any money you might have had invested into certain stocks and stuff. So maybe it was just a small correction. And if we keep having a bunch of small corrections here and there, we'll be back down to where we're in recession level at some point.
What difference at this point does it make?
Make America great again.
Yes, we can.
The EU approved a blockbuster buyout of U.S. aggregate Monsanto by German chemical firm Bayer. After securing concessions in order to win approval. You know what that means? That means bribery. So Bayer and Monsanto got together and said, who do we got to bribe to get votes? We call them lobbyists here. But they're just bribers. They bribe people. Hey, come on, man. We'll donate so much to your campaign. Maybe we'll give so much to this, that. So we offset the poisoning of our planet. We'll do some environmental things to offset that.
I'm the Great Pumpkin. Who are you supposed to be?
I am Cornholio. I need TV for my bunghole.
So we have that. But I wanted to get to some of these sound bites from Mr. Donald Trump about the massive omnibus bill. Let's take a listen to this one.
The last time we negotiated something like this, and as you know, it's always been a problem for our country. They get together and they create a series of documents that nobody's been able to read because it was just done. Now, you tell me who can read that quickly. Takes a long time to read it.
So you didn't read it, Mr. President, yet you signed it into law, but you're going to complain about the people who voted for it and they didn't get to read it. Okay, let's continue.
For the last 8 years, deep defense cuts have undermined our national security. And if you look at what's taken out, they've hollowed our readiness as a military unit and put America at really grave risk.
Wars in a bunch of different countries doesn't put our country in grave risk. Facing off with the North Koreans and the Russians and calling Russia and Putin a Hitler and all that doesn't put our country at great risk. But having the largest military budget already on the planet dwarfs just about every other military on the planet. Increase the military budget. Let's continue.
Our military equipment is the best equipment in the world. And one of the things you saw 2 days ago with Saudi Arabia and with other countries, Saudi Arabia, as an example, is buying hundreds of billions of dollars worth of our equipment. And we're getting very fast approvals.
So we have the most advanced, so we're already the best. He admits it here. Yet he says, just prior to that, we need more money for that stuff. Maybe we've used up too many bombs and too many missiles and too many drones and whatnot. And maybe we've let too many other tankers crash into our boats, and we need money to fix all that stuff and repair that stuff and get new ordnance. We continue.
Therefore, as a matter of national security, I've signed this omnibus budget bill. There are a lot of things that I'm unhappy about in this bill. There are a lot of things that we shouldn't have had in this bill, but we were, in a sense,
shouldn't have had in this bill. We're forced to do it.
There are some things that we should have in the bill.
Oh, boy.
But I say to Congress, I will never sign another bill like this again. I'm not going to do it again. Nobody read it.
Neither did you.
It's only hours old. Some people don't even know what it is. $1.3 trillion. It's the second largest ever. President Obama signed one that was actually larger.
Second largest bill ever. You're complaining about signing it because they sent it to you. You could have vetoed it. Mr. President. But for some reason, you got right along and you said, hey, you know what? I don't have to read it. I'll complain about I didn't get to read it or other people didn't get to read it because I'm sure you read every line and you're upset about this and you're happy about that. Unbelievable. We continue.
If we're going to have really sustained, continued success. DACA recipients have been treated extremely badly by the Democrats. We wanted to include DACA. We wanted to have them in this bill. 800,000 people. And actually, it could even be more. And we wanted to include DACA in this bill. The Democrats would not do it.
The Democrats are the bad guys because they don't want to put DACA in the bill. Have you seen, like I said earlier, everything's switched. It's all flip-flopped around. Either we were had, which is very likely, or the Republicans are in such great fear that they're going to lose all their seats in the coming election that they think pandering and putting out this Democrat-like budget.
But we have to pass the bill
out there, and the president's signing it. Why he's signing it, I don't know. He says he doesn't like it. Then why did you sign it? If you don't like it, you don't sign it. You have the power to veto, Mr. President. Obama did it with Obamacare. Oh, speaking of Obamacare, Mr. President, how come that's still there? You did tell us that that was going to be gone. One of the first things, Obamacare is gone. Well, that's not gone. Oh, yeah, right. The mandate's gone. Well, for the time being, it's not permanent since Obamacare is there. When the Democrats get in office, I mean, we don't really need the Democrats in office if the Republicans are going to pass bills like this. But if the Democrats get in office, they can just put that right back in there and then we have the mandate again. What has been going on this past year, Mr. President? Well, can you explain to me what your actual accomplishments are? I mean, not the fake ones where you gave a major tax cut to corporations, but what are your accomplishments as opposed as related to your campaign promises? Here's another one.
The border, we've worked very hard.
The border.
On. We have a lot of really by any standard.
I mean,
a lot,
stumbling.
But not by this standard, but we're going to make it go a long way. We have a lot of money coming to the border, and it will be coming over a period of time. We funded the initial down payment of $1.6 billion. We're going to be starting work literally on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, work on what?
Not only some
You're going to fix a fence.
Not enough.
Yeah, it's a fence.
Very quickly. But also fixing existing walls and existing acceptable fences. There's some areas that you have to see through. You have to be able to see through the other side in order to see what's coming.
Right, so you can let them in. So those coyotes can let the people in or bring them across the border and you let them in. So that way you can have more DACA recipients later on down the line, right? Unbelievable. Here's another thing he said.
We have many elements in the bill that we wanted. Just to look at a few of them. We're providing $654.6 billion in total discretionary funding for defense. It's a record. All records for defense.
He's happy that they've got $600 and some billion in discretionary funding. That's not the funding that is focused on specific things. That's discretionary. They can spend it however they please, which probably means more missiles and bombs to replace the ordnance that they are using up all over the world. We might have to buy a new Moab. I mean, they're not cheap, and when you let one off out there in Afghanistan, you got to build another one. Seriously. I'm glad people are starting to come around on this. I really am. People are finally catching on that things aren't the way they were in Fantasyland thinking it was. They were so happy that their guy won because they had lost so long that they overlooked transgression after transgression after transgression. But it's becoming apparent to them, finally.
With that being said, I just want to thank everybody for being here.
When you have compounded transgressions, that things aren't as they were thinking they were. And they were all distracted on Q, or they were distracted with the Mandela effect or the flat earth thing. All while the important work was to keep Donald Trump and the Republicans in line. And while everybody was focused on this thing and that thing and the other thing, distracting them all over, this is what we got. This is how it's all turned out. I mean, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think his administration is finished. These are the type of things we're going to get. He's going to say, I'll never do it again. I'll never do. We can't trust him anymore. We can't trust the Republicans to do what they promised. Obamacare, we're going to repeal it. Then it became repeal and replace. Now it's we can't get rid of it, but we'll get rid of the mandate in a tax bill for now. Until the next tax bill comes up, or until the Democrats want to change that tax bill and put it back in. But who needs the Democrats? Because are you telling me things would be any different with Hillary running things right now?
What difference at this point does it make? It is our job.
We would have still got this tax bill. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, they're telling us it's 1.3. But early on in the week, when this was all being bantied about, it was 1.6 trillion. So that they wouldn't spend that $300 trillion or that $300 billion? Or was it just a race from there? And that's part of that secret spending money that we'll never find out. Anyways, we've got to take another time out, ladies and gentlemen. More on the flip side of this. Please stay tuned.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Listening there. Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show is going to be right back. Just ask the hillbilly.
That's right. Right after this.
What about me? Maybe next time.
Powerful, epic music by Toothbox Roll. Life-changing lyrics come in every style, empowering humanity to finally unlock the chains of bondage. Experience the edgy side of positive music and rock your world today. From Primal to Divine, available now at sassyalternativemusic.com.
If you are elderly, disabled, receiving SSI or Medicaid, and you have a medical need or require assistance with daily housework, shopping, grooming, medication, you may qualify for housekeeping at no cost. Call now, VIP Home Healthcare, 248-579-3805. VIP Home Healthcare, there when you need them. That's 248-579-3805.
Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
You know, I was listening to Michael Savage on Friday, and I can see, and he's already been slipping away from the president because the president, who probably wouldn't have gotten elected without the help of Michael Savage, has pretty much turned his back on Savage. So Savage, who I don't agree with every single thing he says, none of us do. We can agree on that, right? So we pick and choose where we want to debate a guy like that. But Michael, I'm glad he said it first because he has more listeners than yours truly. More people are going to finally start clicking all together here because Michael has been shunned by the president. I mean, it's really a shame. Michael Savage really put his weight behind Donald Trump. And this is how the Trump administration has been treating him. They've blown him off. I mean, that shows a lot of how the administration takes the people that supported them. We're only good for the time being, and if you're not good all the time for them, they'll just send you to the side. And that's what happened with this omnibus bill. I mean, who comes up with the names of these things? Omnibus. Can't you tell it's a behemoth clunker of a bill just by the name? You've got Nancy Pelosi, and I'm going to play you her little soundtrack here.
The distinguished leader has clearly put forth many of the priorities that we're very proud of in a bill that is 1 yard high. It's 1 yard high. About half of it is the bill, and a quarter of it are earmarks, and another quarter are report language. And it's interesting to see from the standpoint of regular order why the Republicans thought that would be a good idea. Well, I think one of the reasons they rushed it through, posting it last night, taking it to rules on the floor today, not honoring the 3-day rule, they didn't want their Republican colleagues to see just exactly what was in the bill, because this bill was a victory.
The minority party wins. The Republicans look like Democrats. So Michael Savage, anyways, he has put all kinds of effort, and he just had his 24th year show, and I want to congratulate Michael because on my 4th year, I'll be hitting my anniversary in just a few weeks. And you could tell Michael was a bit taken aback with the whole situation. He brought up the idea of why should we even vote anymore? And that's a good question, ladies and gentlemen. Why should we vote anymore? If this is what we're going to get, we vote for an agenda and something else takes place. But Michael, on a show that he should have been celebrating his 24 years, you could tell the man was so discouraged, so beaten aback. Because, for lack of better terms, the Trump administration has stabbed him and most of their voting base in the back. Not only with this bill, but with the tax bill and with the lack of the repeal of Obamacare. Then we get back to the alternative media types out there that are finally starting to connect the dots, finally starting to figure this out. See, Trump might have had some good intentions in the beginning, but the swamp, as he calls it, has come down so hard on not only him, but his voting base, that his presidency is in some type of jeopardy here. And I think he's in the position, being a human being, they've got the goods on him somewhere, whether it's them just trying to destroy his marriage with all these prostitute types, these porn stars, these women who just spent a night with him. You know, and if Melania doesn't mind that, his wife doesn't care about that, why should you? And that's another thing that really gets me. Is here we have the mainstream media saying it's okay to be morally corrupt in every sexual deviant thing you can do. But you can't be Donald Trump and have a mistress here or sleep with a hooker or a prostitute at the same time. That breaks some sort of rule. But if you're a gay person, that's fine. If you're bisexual, that's fine. If you're trans this, that's fine. Every other sexual deviancy out there is just fine with the mainstream media, but not this. And the only reason I think these women are coming out at this time, because they didn't really care, the left didn't care a whole lot when Bill Clinton was doing it, and all of them were ready to vote for Hillary, even though they knew how dirty Mr. Bill Clinton is. I mean, they're loved in the Democrat Party. Don't get me wrong. Bill is loved for some reason in the Democrat Party. I don't know why. Don't ask me. In fact, there's not a politician I idolize. There's a few I like better than others. But every single one of them is corrupted in one form or another. They have an agenda, and as we can see with the Republicans, the Republican agenda is hardly anything different than the Democrat agenda. Republicans want a little bit more military spending, and the Democrats want a little bit more social spending, we'll call it. They don't care. They just take the money from you. They just take it. And if there's not enough, they borrow it. $21 trillion in debt. We just passed that mark, and then they go, we're going to spend the second most we've ever spent. And we're talking in a 6-month period. Then we have some people talking about the bomber out there in Austin, Texas, and how he might be a patsy. Well, in the alternative media, here we go again. Investigating it's fine. Pointing it out is fine. But if we think any of these events aren't set into motion one way or the other, at this point, you're getting excited over the wrong thing. It's part of the punishment for electing Donald Trump, for being the party that the group of people who do not appreciate the growing size of the government, who do not appreciate the giant swamp. You know, it's discouraging even for a person like me who has tried to stay neutral in this whole thing and point out the various aspects of what was going wrong, what wasn't adding up. You know, it was like the guy. It was the guy I can't remember, the someone out there. I remember him pointing out so many things over just the past year. And people just tuned him off because they were so on the bandwagon because they had won an election. Their guy won. They finally got somebody who won. What has it done for everybody? We could have voted none of the above and forced them, if enough of us did it, force them into picking two other people, or force Congress into picking one person that we could hold them accountable for. See, they can play the game now. The game can be played because Donald Trump is the centerpiece of it. They can fight Republican Democrats still, but then they can still fight the president and act like they're opposing the evil president who is friends with Vladimir Putin. It's like the election. They put Trump in there and they put Hillary in there. They bring out the fact. It's all by design. They bring out some stuff with the FBI to show like the government's doing something credible because everybody knew Hillary was a crook. So they're going to do something to show that they're credible, that FBI and Department of Justice, right? Then they clear her, but we still have more mounting evidence that she's a crook and she's scammed and she hid stuff. So they come out and go, well, we're going to reopen it. Oh, a couple days later, forget it. No big deal. Then we get to the election and the people pick Donald Trump. So they go, okay, now the punishment begins. The constant barrage from the news media. They're going to, remember? They were going to go to the Electoral College and hope the Electoral College was not going to follow the way the people were voting. And you see the media going that way and getting everybody in the hype that way. When that didn't work, then they got all the people out there protesting early. Ooh, anti-Trump this and anti-Trump that and everything going this and that way. And then Trump's getting in office and he's just, his first 100 days are going to be this great. But they weren't that great. We didn't get much out of that first 100 days. Not like he said they were going to do. So then we're going to do this with Obamacare, but we can't get it done. We can't this one and another one. And then next thing you know, nothing's done there. Then we're going to go, okay, we're going to try to pass this thing. We're going to get this Supreme Court guy in and put these judges in and this, and everything's taking too long to confirm. Then we get to September, we go, we're going to run out of money, so we got to pass a bill. Oh, we're going to shut down the government. Who cares? I don't care. Do you care? I don't care. But we're going to shut down the government. Oh, so we passed something and we didn't want to pass. We didn't want to pass it, but we had to because, got to keep the government going for whatever reason. I don't know. Then they finally come up with a tax bill that does great things for the corporations, cuts taxes from them. The individual didn't get a whole lot. But hey, that's okay. We're going to eliminate, because we can't get rid of Obamacare. We're just going to eliminate the mandate for now, so you feel good for a year. I mean, you'll still have to pay it in 2018, the fine. You'll still have to pay that because if we didn't get rid of it soon enough, so that's just another year we just have to, but that's okay. The year after, you don't have to do it, for now. We may have to come up with another tax plan that I have to slip it back in there. And even if we don't slip it back in there, we can wait till the Democrats get office and they'll slip it back in there, so no problem at all. Hey, by the way, we got a giant spending bill because we're out of money again for the government, spending too much money from September to now. We got to keep the government running again. So what do? We pass a $1.3 trillion budget omnibus bill. Some say it's 1.6, whatever the math. Nobody got to read it. Nobody cares to read it. Nobody wants to read it. They're just going to vote on it. And the president, who hasn't read it, who knows, he tells everybody he hasn't read it. Nobody's read it. He don't care who has read it because he's going to sign it but never sign another one like that again because he's going to read every single thing on it. I doubt it. The hilarity will continue because commenting on the political situation is just one big hilarious comedy. We'll be right back.
Where do you think you're going?
The John Lebang Show will be right back.
So grab a beer and a smoke and sit your butt back down.
Stay right here. Pane in the Glass, commercial and residential window cleaning for a beautiful sparkling shine that's crystal clear. Call Pane in the Glass Window Cleaning. You can find them on Facebook at Pane in the Glass.
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
And now your favorite game show. Here's Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce. If you want to win a prize.
Drop it like a deuce.
Are you sure this is a good idea? If you want to have a good time.
Drop it like a deuce.
I have a bad feeling about this.
No need to sterilize.
Drop it like a deuce.
Oh no.
Drop it like a deuce. Drop it like a deuce. Drop it like a deuce.
And now your host for Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce. Here's John Lebang.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce. Tonight's contestants are Dawn and Gary from the band New Day Dawn. Let's begin. Marshall or Fender?
Marshall.
1 point.
Yeah, I'd say Marshall too.
1 point. SG or Les Paul?
Oh, we're going to differ on this. I'm going to say Les Paul.
I like the SG.
1 point.
No, I like the way they sound too.
You do.
That's my signature guitar. I love it. Bon Jovi or Skid Row?
Oh, I'm such the
We're both
Jersey girl.
We're from Jersey, so we gotta go with Bon Jovi.
Disco fries or Jersey style hot dogs?
Oh, I don't even know what a Jersey style hot dog is.
What's a disco fry?
Disco fries, cheese and gravy, smothered on fries. Okay, I eat more protein than carbs now, so I got to go with the Jersey hot dog.
1 point.
I'll go with the hot dog.
1 point.
I'm talking about my husband.
47 points. Movies or books?
Oh, movies for me.
1 point. 1
point.
All right, 5 questions. AC/DC with or without Axl?
Oh, without.
10 points.
Wait, AC/DC?
He's singing for them now.
I didn't even think Dawn.
I didn't think I knew that. What? When did that happen?
He was touring with AC/DC.
So the question remains, AC/DC with or without Axl Rose?
Well, here's the problem. If AC/DC without Axl Rose, they don't have a singer, so they're kind of no longer a band. So the choice is AC/DC making new music with Axl, or no more AC/DC music at all.
Or it could be AC/DC prior singers versus him being a singer in the band.
Well, if it's that there's no contest. Then without Axl.
10 points. If you were an Olympic sport, what would you be?
I would be curling.
200 That's points. 200 points. My favorite sport in the Olympics. Thank you. 200 points.
Olympics.
I like curling.
Curling?
Yes, I like curling.
I'd be a snowboarder.
Or skier.
Or a skier.
33 points.
The snowboarding is so cool. I started when there was no snowboard, so.
Yeah, before there was like X Games, right? When it first came out, and then they finally decided to put it in the Olympics.
Yeah, but it's so cool watching those guys.
It is pretty awesome. More random point questions here. Best band story.
You mean our band?
Yes, or any band you were in. Just best band story.
Okay.
I don't know know if we could tell that.
Yeah,
the
well, there's
best
a
band
couple
story.
of them. Well, let's tell the one about your snare drum. That's a cool story.
That's your story? Okay.
Oh, that's one you can tell.
Well, that's true. We were opening for Sick Puppies in Lancaster at the Chameleon in Lacuna Coil at, what was that? Revolver Magazine's Hottest Chicks of Hard Rock, right? And we were one of the opening bands, and second song in, like during the song, my snare head, I guess I hadn't changed it for a while, split right down the middle. I mean, literally. The whole entire head. I couldn't even play it. It was like a wet noodle.
We were playing about 1,000 people.
Yeah, it was a big show. It was like a couple thousand people. I flipped the snare. Like, no one was looking back at me, too. Obviously, the drummer's in the back. Nobody even noticed. I don't know why, because I kind of stopped playing the snare. Didn't you turn around?
No, the reason we didn't notice is because there's a back line. So this was a tour of like Lacuna Coil and Sick Puppies and Silver and I Set to Kill, and all 4 bands had back lines on stage. So they set them like, in front of each other. So by the time we got on stage, because we were the opening act of those 5 bands,
we had about 5 feet.
We had no, not even. Like we had maybe 3 feet deep of the stage playing. So I was literally, if I took a step backwards, Gary's bass drum was like on my ass.
I guess she couldn't turn around.
I literally couldn't turn around. I couldn't move. It was like such close quarters. So that's why we weren't able to like run around the stage and see that literally we couldn't move. Okay.
Right. But anyway, I flipped the snare over, and the other side is very thin, and like you can't really play it, and it's got the snares on it too, running down the middle. So I'm kind of playing it as delicately as I could, and that one just started to go too. So I literally just kind of played the song like that. I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst ever. This is like going to be the worst show ever, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, does anybody have a snare? And I never used to bring a spare snare at that point. And all of a sudden, like none of the bands were like willing to like give up a snare. But then all of a sudden, like one of the stagehands or sound guy came and handed me a snare. I never even knew where that snare came from. I never figured it out. But somebody lent me the snare, and I continued the set. And to this day, I swear to God, people in that show thought that was the most badass thing ever.
No, that's pretty awesome.
We were like kind of mortified, like, oh my God, what a horrible thing to happen. And everyone was like, oh, you're the band, the drummer's so badass, he broke through the snare drum.
He hit so hard, he broke his snare drum.
Because what happened was Gary had to hold it up in the air to show, because nobody could hear what he was saying, because he didn't have a mic. And so he held it up, and he's like, does anyone have a spare snare drum? And you saw the big hole through the snare drum. So.
Right, they didn't hear him on stage either, because it's awfully quiet up there, too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that became like a negative got turned into a positive. But okay, I'm trying to think of another story. You have time for one more?
Sure, I'll give you 75 points for that last one.
Oh, what's another? I always go back to the Corey story. So when we were in our other band, Slush Puppy, we were much younger, and before we had kids, so things were a little different back then. Partying went a little longer and a little harder, and we were playing a show. Jägermeister was one of our sponsors, and we were playing a show opening for the band OTEP. OTEP. Yeah, OTEP. And she was like drinking pig's blood on stage at that point, doing stuff. Anyway, so we opened for this band, and we're playing in front of it was an all ages show, and there were all these kids in the audience. And so much about playing is like how you're presented. Like, this is the biggest band to come out of New York City, and they're famous. And then all the kids, even if they don't know who you are, they think you're like a rock star. And it was definitely one of those nights, because we were being introduced by the host of Much Music, who's a celebrity, and there were other celebrities there. So we just got kind of looped in with bunched in with the celebrities. So we get off stage, and I'm trying to find my bass player. I mean, literally, we had just gotten off stage, just put our stuff away, and a bunch of kids wanted our autograph, and I'm looking all over for him, and someone says he's in the back room, and I'm in the, green room looking for him, and then they're like, oh, he's in the bathroom. So I knock on the door, and he's like, what? And I open it, and he is having sex with some girl that he literally just met. I mean, I don't know how he went from getting off the stage within 5 minutes doing that, but yeah.
Well, he's a quick worker.
He is definitely a quick. He was a quick worker. He's actually no longer with us.
Work of it too.
20 points.
What's our point total, by the way?
I haven't kept track. We never keep track here, by the way. We give you some point total at the end, and it's either true or it's not true. It doesn't matter because you win every time. So
I like this game.
it's pretty awesome. So we got 2 more questions for you. Movie that reminds you of your childhood.
So to me, it's I have 2. One is Wizard of Oz, because I just always, every time it came on, I only watched it on TV, but I always loved it. But the one that's like a movie in the theaters, for me, has to be Rocky.
100 points.
My dad was a huge Rocky fan, and he took us to see Rocky. And I remember after we left that movie theater, he ran up and down the street like trying to do like the Rocky punches, and I'm like, Dad, you're not even wearing sneakers. What are you doing?
Dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. It's the eye of the tiger. Okay, go ahead.
Was that one movie or 2?
That's
2?
mine. What are yours?
Wow, mine are from completely different like sides of the spectrum of movies. Like one is the Shining. Because that was like the first movie I ever saw, like a naked woman in it, and that was like 12 or 13 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But and it was like first she was like a sexy woman, and then she turns into like a old wrinkly. I don't know if you know the scene in Shining where bathtub or bathroom, and she turns into like this old rotting wrinkly woman. It was disgusting, but anyway. And then the other movie is, I don't know why, but like the Brady Bunch movie, because it's like from the 70s. And I don't know.
Weird.
Because like, I grew up watching the Brady Bunch. So it kind of reminds me.
Negative 20 points.
Come on, you didn't see the Brady Bunch movie?
Marsha.
I don't remember that movie at all. I remember the TV show very well, but not the movie.
There was a movie too, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can't believe you said that. That's funny.
I didn't say it was a good movie.
Yesterday was our 24th wedding anniversary.
Well, congratulations. 100 points.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. See, after 24 years, you come on the John Lebang Show Music Hour, and you find out something new.
It's true.
It's like the Newlywed
John,
Show.
you have to be our therapist.
Yeah, you don't want my fees. Anyways, for the last question here, most underrated band.
Underrated band.
Well, I don't know if they're underrated because they've definitely been. I mean, I guess that. No, I was going to say Nothing More. I love Nothing More, and I don't know why they're not a household name, but I don't know if they're underrated because the people that know them recognize their talent for sure.
33 points.
Every rock band out there because rock is just like where are the scenes for rock and roll?
150 points for a grand total of 643 points.
Great. Thanks, John.
Well.
And that's it for Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce. I'd like to thank our guests, Dawn and Gary from the band New Day Dawn. Celebrity Drop It Like a Deuce is a John Lebang Show production. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this first hour. But stay tuned. In the second hour, we have rock and roll historian and author of the book, Rock and Roll Unraveled, Derek Shelmerdine, joining us. Be right back.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Tune in again next week. Same time, same space, same station.
Resistance